Hello everyone, I Riddhi, Rinkal and Nirali has prepared this presentation on Westland. Here is a table content which we are going to our presentation. Here is a biography of author T.S. Eliot. Full name of T.S. Eliot was Thomas Stearns Eliot. He was born in 26 September in 1888. St. Louis, Missouri in United States. He was died on 4 January 1965 in London, United Kingdom. He was great poet, essayist, publisher, playwright, literary critic and editor. Considered one of the 20th century's major poets, he is a central figure in English language modernist poetry. He had completed his education in Harvard University in Oxford. He was wins the Nobel Prize in Literature on 4 November 1948. He uses many techniques such as imagination, repetition, fragmentation, and other modern techniques. Here are most notable works which he has wrote: The Hollow Man, the Love Song of J. Alfred, Prelude, Journey of the Maggie as Wednesday, Burnt Norton, and here is a common theme of which T.S. Eliot used in most of his poetry: love, death, religion, nature, beauty, aging, desire, and identity. Here is about the text. Representative piece of 20th century published in book from 1922, most widely translated and studied English language poem. Include 434 lines in this poem. These are the five parts of this poem: the burial of the dead, a game of chess, the fire sermon, death by water, what the thunder said. Now I request you, Nirali, for further information.
Hello everyone, my name is Nirali. I am going to present here key facts of Westland. Here is the key facts: part of poem, the burial of the dead, the game of chess, the fire sermon, death by water, what the thunder said. Author T.S. Eliot. This is published on 1922. Type of work: this is the long poem of T.S. Eliot. Genre: modernist poetry. Language: English. Time and place written: London in the after the First World War. Setting: London. Protagonist: Tiresias. This poem is written in 43 lines. This is the character of poem. This is the chart of the all characters: Tiresias, Madame Sosostris, Phlebas, Mr. Agendius, Philomela, a typist girl, Stetson, Bellandana, and the rich lady. The Tiresias is the narrator of this poem and also the chief protagonist of Westland. According to Eliot, is the central figure in the Westland who had spent 7 years living as a woman. He was living as a woman 7 years because by God Hera he was turned into woman for these 7 years. This character is a uh, uh, taken from the part 3, the fire sermon. Historically, he is the connection with the king Oedipus and the wasteland. Madame Sosostris. Madame Sosostris is a gypsy who tells fortune at a fair. She is a fortune teller by using his cards. Madam Sososthius, she has 78 cards for the fortune. These cards called as the tarot pack. The phrase had a bad cold was a meant for Madame Sosostris, and it's in a ironic way. She was suffered from the bad cold, but known as a wisest woman of the Europe. She is reading the fortune of the protagonist. She doesn't know the protagonist's real fortune. She is telling fortune, but she was doesn't know the real fortune of the protagonist. Uh, Mr. Agendis, a merchant from Samairana. This is the place from this Agendis coming. Now this city is in Turkey. These characters reference. So in the part third, the fire sermon. This merchant is a one-eyed merchant. This he in his pocket is full of currants. Currants are small, seedless, and dried grape. The merchant invites the narrator to go with him to the Cannon Street Hotel and the Metropole, a place for homosexual tryst. The another one is the Philomela, a character from Ovid's Metamorphoses. She was the sister of Procne. Procne's husband name was Tereus. She was raped by Tereus. Then after Philomela converted into Nightingale, and then her sister Procne. Procne also converted in the Swalan. Tereus, who raped her, he was converted into hawk, eagle. Phlebas, a Phoenician merchant who is described lying dead in the water in part 4, death by water, perhaps the same drowned Phoenician sailor whom Madame Sososthius refers. The Phoenician merchant, he was the come from Phoenicia. In death, he was forgotten his worldly cares as the creature of the sea have picked his body apart. The narrator asked his reader to consider Phlebas and recall his or her own morality. Typist girl, she was lonely and a creature of the modern world. She is a lover of young men, carbon puller, who sleep with her mechanically. She is left alone again with her mirror and gramophone. The rich lady. This character is so in part two, a game of chess. She called as the lady of influence. This character's possibility as Iliad's first wife, Vivi. Stetson. Stetson is the friend of Iliad in this poem. He was so in part one, the burial of death. Uh, People also believe that he was fought in World War One. Another one is Belladonna. Uh, the Belladonna's character was so in part one, Burial of Dead. She called as a lady of the rock, a lady of situation, and she was also very beautiful lady. This character is symbol of poison, sexual, and opportunities. For the other information, I would like to call Rinkal Dangar.
Hello everyone, I am Rinkal and I am going to give introductory presentation on the Westland. Title of the poem, The Westland. Title is taken from a book uh, From Ritual to Romance by Jesse L. Weston. It focuses on the Grail legend and the Fisher King, whose infirmity affects the fertility of the kingdom itself, and the land is doomed to barrenness. Plot of the poem The Westland. The poem has divided into 5 parts. The first is the burial of the dead, game of chess, the fire sermon, death by water, and what the thunder said. The burial of the dead. The title refers burial service in the Church of England and the dead fertility gods mentioned in Fraser's book, The Golden Bough. Tiresias, the protagonist of the poem, represent the modern man. Spring as a awful season, that spring is giving many dull memories. Mary, the German princess, has entirely forgotten religious and moral values. Met- Metropolitan city London or Paris to Madame Sosostris, a fortune teller. Game of chess, the longest section in the poem. Title taken from two plays by early 17th century playwright Thomas Middleton. A game of chess denotes stage in seduction. Final representation of good night by a character is also a reference to Ophelia of Hamlet. The good night, my ladies, is a farewell speech of this lady named Lil. The fire sermon. Its title chiefly represents the Buddhist fire sermon that in Indian Upanishads the reference is taken by T.S. Eliot. Eliot tries to show the modern world's loveless relationship and meaningless sex. Eliot tells about the unreal city London, whose trees and rivers get polluted after industrialization. Some of lines are borrowed from the enduring mystery of Psalm and to his co-mistress by John Donne. Spencer, the Thames River, that one reference is there that Spencer said the Thames River to flow slowly till he speaks or sings. Augustine's confession about the city, Carthage, he confesses the city has gone much polluted and all the people have gone very much dull by morality and self-spirit. Narrator Tiresias from the Greek mythology. That narrator is taken from one Greek mythology. He himself introduced that Tiresias, though blind, uh, though being between two lives, old man with a wrinkled female breast, can see that though I am blind, I can see death by water. It is the shortest part of the poem. Phlebas, the Phoenician who has died by water. Significance of water as a means of purification and rebirth. Two associates, one from the Shakespeare's The Tempest and the other from the ancient Egyptian myth of the god of fertility. That his head was got survived and it was worshipped by some of the people. Consider Phoebus, who was once handsome and tall as you. That the character was much handsome and tall as you, but though he died, as like you will also die. That is the message. What the thunder said. Opening is taken from the purification of priest, the Datta, Daidham, and Damayata. To give, to sympathize, and to control. These are the three words are much. These are the message of this particular poem. That what the thunder said. He who was living is now dead. We who were living are now dying with a little patience. That the reference is taken from the one great person who was a priest and the person during the World War and all the people of Europe that they are now alive but still patiently or slowly they are dying. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. That is the last message of this poem. That it is also taken from Hindu Upanishads structure. That I. Richardson, in the Principles of Literary Criticism, calls it the music of ideas. The structure of the poem is that of spiritual up and down. Throughout the poem, we come back to the same point, but at a different levels. That all 5 poems are considering the somewhere a man after a World War First and Second World War, between the war, and they have lost their spirits and self consciousness. Jean Michael Rabbit argues that the Wasteland is the fundamentally a poem about Europe after the First World War. That fundamentally it is the poem of the mindset of European people after the war. Now themes will Riddhi discuss.
These are the theme of poem. First of all, fragmentation and decay, enacted through the poem's use of free verse, especially in What the Thunder Said, and it refers to fragments and broken images. Second was sex and relationships, seen in the conversation in the London pub at the end of a game of chess. The section describing the typist and young man Carbuncular, and in the Fire Sermon, and the Earl of Leicester and Queen Elizabeth, among others. Rebirth, the Christ images in the poem, along with the many other religious metaphors, possessed rebirth and resurrection as central themes. The seasons. The Westland opens with innovation of April, the cruelest month. That spring be depicted as a cruel is a curious choice on Eliot's part, but as a paradox it informs the rest of the poem to a great degree. Death. Two of two of the poem's section, the burial of the ant and the death by water, refer specifically to this theme. What complicates matter is that death can mean life. In other words, by dying, a being can pave the way for new lives. These are the resources which we have used in our presentation. Thank you.